next is a new Belgium Dig, D-I-G, and it is, there's not initials, it's actually just called Dig. And it is their Spring Pale Ale, and they are showing off two of the newer varieties of hops in this. And I had a chance to taste this last night, and it is really fun. The two hops that they're showing off in this in particular, there are other hops in it as well, but they're showing off the Sriracha Ace and the Nelson Sauvin, which are some of the newer hop varieties. The Sriracha Ace is known for being really lemony, citrusy, and the Nelson Sauvin is known for being very tropical fruit. So have some fun with it. I'm anxious to see what you think of it. I was quite impressed with the balance on this.
Well, that's interesting because that's a little different than the piney or grapefruity kind of West Coast hops that are, or the enteric, which we won't go into, but ammonia kind of hops that you can sometimes get.
Well, one of the things that's interesting, and if you remember right, we've had some New Belgium beers in the past, and New Belgium really is not known for making really hoppy beer. They really are more about showing off malt and showing off what yeast can do, and less about huge hop bombs. So. The lemon note hits right away, and then behind it is just this beautiful, rich mango to me.
I was going to say mango, but you beat me to the punch.
And almost a little bit of papaya as well. As papayas get a little bit overripe, it reminds me of that aroma. But it's really, really inviting. It's just like, oh, it's such a breath of, it's such a breath of freshness. And in terms of being a spring pale ale, it's a neat combination.
And it's not piney.
No.
At all. It's not, it's not like a pine tar, or it's not like...
No, it doesn't have any of that, the West Coast, dankness at all. It's not going with that. It really is a really bright...
Yeah, and it's really, I like the idea of what you said, freshness. I think that's a good descriptor. And
then in behind it, there's a very substantial malt to it as well. There's a beautiful pale malt to this, and just a hint of crystal, I think. Just a little bit of crystal of some sort. Again, a very pale one. Very pretty beer. It's brilliantly clear. It's a warm gold kind of color to it. And then, the malt starts out, there's a beautiful malt flavor to it. And then all of those aromas that we picked up kind of show up in the hop flavor. The bitterness is quite low on this. It really does, it finishes more on the malty end. There's enough bitterness to balance this beer, but it's not a bitter beer by any stretch.
No.
It really is, the malt is much more forward on the tongue, although, it's fun. This is really a lot of hops in the nose and a lot of hop flavor, and not so much on the hop bitterness, which is kind of a nice way to play the pale ale style. In many ways, the aroma is different, but it reminds me a lot of the Moon Man from New Glarus.
Right.
Because there was that big, bright hop nose, and then really a softer malt finish to it than a bitter finish.
Yeah, and I guess, we've talked about this before, but I'm getting kind of that kind of graham cracker kind of flavor on the malt, kind of a sweet, light flavor, maybe a slight toastiness to it, and it's really lovely. And unlike the Moon Man, you're not getting any kind of that piney or resiny or stuff. You're getting that light fruit flavor, but it isn't super bitter considering how much hop flavor you've got.
Yeah, it's really. I think this is a really brilliant use of hops in this beer. I think it's just really fascinating and a great way to show off without having to be a one note. They must have worked hard. They either got really, really lucky or worked really, really hard to get the balance of this nose.
Well, they say the harder you work, the luckier you get. So.
Well, I hope this is not just a seasonal for them. I hope they can do this on a regular basis. It's a great beer.
Yeah, this is really... And it is so unlike a lot of West Coast beers. And don't get me wrong, I like my hops just as much as the next person, but this is really taking hops and not trying to hit you over the head with them. It's not like trying to grab a hop vine and beat you over the head with it, but it's really taking advantage of specific hops and their specific qualities and really showcasing him, and I think the malt really balances well with it. You know, the sweetness of the malt balances very well with this kind of, and the fruitiness I don't think is really coming from the ale. It's not coming from the yeast so much.
No, I think it's the hop aroma.
Yeah.
Yep, and I think the flavor comes through as well.
Yeah, it's a lovely beer.
Yeah. So there is real beer. Oh, we've always known Colorado makes some great beer.
Yeah, yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.